Hello, hello. Okay, just a fair warning, this one's going to be completely rambling because I have no script or basically working for some notes here. So if you see some bizarre cuts and some jumps and this barely makes sense, that's why. So, do not have a full episode of In Bob We Trust up for this Monday as traditional, mostly because, same as the last time there was a delay in the episode coming out. Have a lot going on this end. It's the end of the holiday season. Just finished a big voting run with the Film Critics Association. You can't see it from the angle on this video, but the house is, the apartment rather, is a mess. Just filled up with empty boxes and pieces of things as I assemble Christmas presents and other things. The main reason that I'm not going to be able to have a new episode up for tomorrow morning is I have to get up early tomorrow morning, earlier than normal, is because I have to get up early-ish and head into town for a screening of a movie that needs it to be reviewed right quick. I don't know that I'm supposed to say which one it is, but I believe that there is space and conflicts involved. So, unfortunately, priorities. Since this is a partially Patreon-supported series, though, I did want to jump in. I wanted to do a full, big explainer video about the Patreon situation, but the Patreon situation seems to be changing minute to minute, hour to hour, which is unfortunate. But here's where things stand as of now. For those of you who hadn't heard, Patreon last week, towards the end of last week, basically announced that they were making this big, bizarre change to their pay structure. Whereas previously, the operating fees were coming out of what the creators were earning on our end. Patreon has decided that the service fees will now be added per pledge to folks who pledge, aka the patrons. I believe the number was at 29% plus 35 cents on every individual pledge. And because it's on every individual pledge, this has upset a lot of people. Because if you're someone who gives one creator $10 a month, you're basically going to see, only a fee of 35 cents. Or roundabouts there. Sorry, suck at math. Can't do percentages in my head. But if you are like the what seems to be the majority of people who support smaller channels and smaller ventures like myself on that service, and you give, say, $1 to 10 people, that is to say 10 different creators, since it's being charged per pledge, you are getting hit quite hard. I have lost a lot of $1 patrons because of this. This isn't something Patreon is letting creators opt out of, by the way, at least not so far. Supposedly there is a big announcement coming this next week coming about maybe they're going to change this or slow it or explain it better. I don't know. I'm getting a little annoyed with the waiting. Basically, I wanted to clarify that I am not shutting down or stopping the Movie Bob Patreon, even though many dollar patrons have taken off, which I completely understand, by the way. I think it's a stupid business decision on Patreon's part. I do not blame anyone who looks at that and says, I can't afford this extra 35 cents on top of the dollar. I get it. And also, conversely, I've seen a lot of my patrons raising their donations, and new people signing up as well. So, as always, bless you for that. Thank you so much. This, Really That Good, Gems, all of the YouTube shows that are on this channel, basically I could not afford to be making these without the Patreon happening. But as such, because I know that Patreon has pissed so many people off, and if they don't fix this, will probably continue to hemorrhage patrons, I have been looking into alternative streams and other ways to crowdfund these series. For the longest time, I felt not great about running more than one crowdfunding source, like having a Patreon and something else going on. There aren't really a lot of great other options for that. Kickstarter is starting a supposed Patreon competitor called Drip. It's by invitation. Oh, stupid name, by the way, Drip. But what does Drip have to do with kickstarting? I don't get it, but whatever. My stuff so far has never been a tiered or member-preferred thing. Everyone gets to see stuff at the same time, and what the donations are doing is mainly keeping the lights on here so that I'm able to have the free time to, not free time, but the time that would otherwise be spent working much more difficult jobs to instead be able to cut, edit, write, shoot, and produce these videos. That's only possible this way. So look, check the blog, check the YouTube channel updates, and there will soon be, hopefully, other ways to get in and help out if you want to continue patronizing but don't want to use Patreon. Unless Patreon fixes their shit, which they may. I hope they fucking do. But once again, that is the update. That's what's going on. If you didn't know that was happening with Patreon and you need to look at your donation history, please, by all means, do. I hope you stick around and continue to patronize. I hope you encourage others to patronize. But if you feel that you can't, I completely understand. And I'm disappointed in the service, not with the patrons. You guys have always been great. As I said, I was hoping that this would be, a more entertaining video, with jokes and graphics and cut-ins. But like I said, this is coming up on a busy week, and I also want to absolutely get the third and final episode of Really That Bad Batman v Superman done and out of the way. That's going to be up before Christmas, hopefully. That's my goal, is that one will be up before Christmas. We'll find out, but once that's done, I look forward to that being done. I've been so pleased with the attention that's gotten and the positive feedback and the amount of shares and traffic that it's pulled. That's great, but I am very much looking to being done talking about a movie I hate and a whole swath of the industry that just does nothing but piss me off. I look forward to being rid of that. Since it occurs to me that it might help keep those Patreon dollars picking up and kicking up, to let you know about things that you can expect that are coming down the pike that your Patreon money will be supporting. Typically, you find out what the next Really That Good related installment is going to be at the end of the one that you just got done watching, with a little teaser thing, which I like to do, which is cute. But this time, I'm going to tell you right up front what the next one's going to be when we get back to doing things about good movies as opposed to Batman v Superman. The next Really That Good will be Star Wars, as in the original Star Wars, the first one. And I was reluctant to do Star Wars on Really That Good for the longest time, because the whole point of Really That Good is looking at movies that are thought of as really good but are often not talked about in the greater context. And with Star Wars, what's unique about that is that Star Wars is almost never talked about without the greater context. The discourse around the original Star Wars seems to consistently dedicate itself to forgetting that this actually is a singular movie. It's very hard to, even from my own end, to think about the impact of the first Star Wars without considering all of the stuff that comes later and all of the stuff that we know about the storyline and the mythos and what we know that it would become. So whereas the previous and other Really That Good episodes have been very much about, okay, here's this movie that you know is good, here it is in relation to everything else going on in the world at the time that it came out and the zeitgeist, this is going to end up being the opposite of that, where we're going to sort of lock off from, okay, forget about what you know about Empire Strikes Back and what the story's going to be, and forget that that Leia is Luke's sister and all of this business with the I am your father, and just look at, what made this movie such a big goddamn deal at the time, and why, even though so much more has been done with the franchise since then, the original really does still hold up as a singular historic film achievement. I'm really excited about getting to do it, so look forward to that. Now on that same topic, and this I'm a little disappointed about. I really did want to have a Really That Good Christmas episode like we had for last year, where we did a Christmas story, and that's one of my favorite episodes of the series. I really wanted to do Christmas Vacation this year. That was my plan. That had been the plan pretty much since I did the original Vacation as one of the Really That Good movies, was we will do Christmas Vacation around Christmas, because I think that is the best vacation movie, and there's a lot to talk about. It's a fascinating relic in Chevy Chase's career. It is uniquely positioned as a movie whose importance as a holiday staple for a lot of people is not overstated. And I was really excited to do it, because, in large part, because it would be a chance to get a little personal and talk about what that one in particular means to me and meant to my family. That really was, pretty much from when it came out on, became basically my father's favorite movie, and one of his favorite movies at least, and definitely like our family holiday tradition was watching Christmas Vacation. Like that was It's a Wonderful Life, the modern It's a Wonderful Life for my me, my mother, my father, my brother, my sister, and unfortunately, As many of you know from watching the other parts of the work that I do around here, that I've been as honest as I can be about it. We lost my father towards the end of October of this year. He'd been sick for a while and found himself in the hospital and did not get better. And that happened. And so even as that was playing out, and even as I was sitting down to get down to this, I still really wanted to do Christmas Day. I felt, well, now more than ever, I should do this one, and really get pretty personal. And it's just a little too difficult to do right now. I have to be able to sit down and watch it and stay composed, to write a script about it and think about it, and then deliver a composed read of the script about it. And I've sat down a couple times to try and write it, even to write like a small version of it, and it is just not possible for me to do right now. It's just a little, it's still a little too real, and I'm sorry about that. I hope you all understand. Hopefully I'll do it next year. That would be the goal now, is that would be one to do next year. Or maybe it doesn't need to be done at Christmas time. I mean, it feels kind of weirdly sacrilegious to not do that, but maybe. But that's why there's not a Christmas really that good this year. I'm looking to do something else to kind of fill the holiday programming vibe, because this is a business after all, and you should really have some holiday programming on your channel for this time. But a lot of holiday programming is hitting me in a not particularly jolly way this year. I ask you guys to kind of come along with me on the personal journey thing for a lot of the times on this, and no one needs to listen to me blubbering and cutting around that for a whole episode. It's going to be messy, and I know a lot of content creators who do some of their best work when they're super emotional about certain things and can really get in there. I kind of run a little too hot and cold emotionally to make that a good vibe. I mean, all these cuts you're seeing here right now, this is me when working without a real script. So there you go. So that is what's happening on this end, and I just wanted to bring everyone up to date on it. So Really That Bad, Batman v Superman, the third part, coming soon, being worked on right now. I'm really into it, and I think the third part's going to be really interesting. I'm toying with, once all three of them are together, cutting them into one big, super long thing, taking out the references to the beginning and end of each chapter and just mixing them all into one big thing and putting that up on YouTube as well. That might end up being too long for the service to run. I don't actually know if they're going to cap that at all, but we'll see. And then that will be followed, unless there's some kind of bizarre disaster or the world ends or something, which seems like it was a funnier joke to tell last year. The next one after that is Really That Good, Star Wars, the original. I'm not going to say A New Hope. Star Wars. The movie's called Star Wars. And keep an eye out on the crowdfunding and the Patreon, because there will be movement there, either in the, hey, Patreon is sorry, we fucked up, everybody please come back, or in the, hey, here are some other outlets that you can use to patronize my work without using Patreon, if it comes to that. But for those of you who are still coming on to Patreon, joining, using, I really appreciate it. You have made the last several years of my life basically possible, my professional life certainly, and a lot of the pretty cool things that are kind of cooking on this end that I actually can't share yet are entirely due to that. Would not have been possible without that, and I thank you so much. Happy holidays to everyone who is celebrating holidays, and please continue to watch. So long as you're watching, I will endeavor to continue making. And to be personal about things once again a little bit, if you have any loved ones in your life that you maybe haven't talked to or been on the best terms with for a certain amount of time, might be a good idea to give that a shot, because you just never know. You just never know. But, thank you all. Please look forward to Really That Bad, the finish, Really That Good, Star Wars, and many other regularly scheduled programming soon to return. I'm going to have some movie reviews this week coming out on geek.com. Please remember to check that out as well. And happy holidays. I apologize for the rambling, nigh incoherent nature of this installment, and the next one will be better. Happy holidays, folks, and thank you once again.